Researchers rely heavily on data to tell stories or look closely at problems we need to solve, problems like the COVID-19 pandemic. Good evening, I'm Rolly Hoyt.
And I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. Our state continues to see positive signs as active cases continue on a downward trend. But tonight, we want to go beyond the numbers.
Yeah, each case represents a person, our family, our friends, our loved ones. Frederick Price joins us live here in the studio with just one of the many faces of COVID.
Rolly and Marlisa, the Williams family in Pine Bluff is one of those families hit hard by COVID-19. Their patriarch died from complications of the virus in July, and things have not been easy. But they tell me their faith and fond memories are helping them cope with this loss.
Today is a project work day. We're going to work on our projects.
For 8 hours every weekday, Deborah Williams teaches nearly 120 high schoolers math.
That's volume. You take it down a notch.
But these last 8 weeks have been turbulent.
He did everything for everybody. He was our chauffeur. He was just our help. It's anything that anybody needed to do, he was there to do it.
Days after a 4th of July celebration, the entire family, except their youngest, contracted COVID-19, and David and his 2 daughters were admitted to the hospital, one of them on the same ICU floor as him.
And I was at a workshop in Hot Springs, so he called me, so I had to come home from the workshop early.
His 2 daughters recovered days later and went home. David did not.
We expected David to get out. You know, we expected him to come home, and it just didn't happen.
His wife texted him the morning of July 26th to check in, but his last text is something that will stick with her for the rest of her life.
And he says, "I'm tired. I'm ready to go home." He didn't say, "I'm ready to come home." He says, "I'm ready to go home." And that's what he did.
For one of his daughters, Jaden, she says he was more than just a dad.
He was my best friend, and he was my son's best friend.
She remembers being pregnant at 16 years old and being a bit nervous, but her fondest memory is when her dad stuck with her every step of the way.
He actually took me to my first doctor's appointment, and he went with me every appointment after that because my mom was working.
Nothing will ever fill the void that the family's go-to guy left behind. But as his family continues to survive, as they say, his wife wants any family going through this to remember one thing.
Don't relish the bad times. Look forward to those good times. And find faith. That's it.
Such a strong family there. One of my biggest questions I had is how she's able to keep good spirits. His wife says when David worked the graveyard shift, they rarely saw each other, so they'd write to each other in a book. Even after his death, she said she still writes to him.